Good afternoon, football fans. Welcome into Spring Lake Park High School for another Division III football matchup between the Midwest Mountain Lions of Eastern Wisconsin and the hometown Minnesota Minx. I'm Hunter Pinky, back once again for this afternoon's action. Joining me on production crew will be Ben Brannon and Ian Andrasak. So wonderful to have them both. Gorgeous afternoon here, and we were a little worried about the weather coming in today with all the rain in the forecast, and unfortunately, fortunately for us, it's cleared all nicely, but it kind of tends to be when you prep for the weather that everything seems to work out in the end. And here we're going to take a look at your Division III top 10 for the American Division. As you can see on your screen, the Oklahoma Rage are in that first place spot. Minnesota Minx moved up from 9th to 7th, and the Midwest Mountain Lions are in that 9th spot. As you can kind of see with the Massey ratings and how they handle all the playoffs rulings through that, records can be a little bit deceiving, so bear no mind to that as you get a good look at the Minnesota Minx on your screen. And why don't we talk about their schedule? Minnesota Minx are coming off a 18-14 loss against the Iowa Phoenix a week ago. Their defense played stout. Offense definitely improved from a week ago, but again, they're going to need that offense to help support that defense. One of those touchdowns came off a pick six from J.C. Otterson, who's been a lights-out defensive weapon for the Minx. Had one pick against Oklahoma before that in the first home game of the season, then had two a week ago against Iowa. And Iowa definitely with a lot of turnovers, fought back hard in that game. Since we're ready for kickoff, we'll take a minute and hold off on talking the Midwest schedule. We'll take a look at that, maybe a timeout or a pause in the action, but we're set to go here. Mel Hopkins set to kick off, handling all the kickoff duties and some of the punting duties, and we're officially underway here from Spring Lake Park High School. That takes a funny bounce at the 30. Someone's got to get on it or it'll be Minx football. And the Mountain Lions will come on it and cover it up. Last time out, both of these teams met. The Minnesota Minx won 20-0 back in week number 2 of the season. So Minx looking to complete the series sweep, or season sweep, of the Mountain Lions, barring any playoff appearances, as there's a good look at your offense for the Mountain Lions. Quarterback is Ava Matz. Out of the gun, a couple of receivers near side, a couple top, and some movement at the line, no call. Handoff up the middle. Nowhere to go for a minimal gain, and that's where you're going to see this Minnesota Minx defense thrive, is in the run game, or run defense. Bear with me, we're having some scoreboard difficulties on our end. We're going to work to correct those. And again, if you're just joining us for the first time this season, I am kind of doing triple duty today, so bear with me as we navigate through these troubles. So back out of the gun, Matz will take the snap, one back in the backfield, and botch snap. Who covered it? And it will stay with the Mountain Lions, but again, already a dangerous way to start off this game. Let's take a look back on it on replay. See if we can see what happened. And just kind of didn't get there, either hit her backside or as there's a pass over the middle and picked off. J.C. Otterson with her fourth pick in 3 games, and she's going to take it to the house. again, we tried to quick moving play, but before we knew it, and quick score from the Minnesota Minx, and that's where this defense really shines. Let's take a look back at that touchdown. Again, dropping back in the pocket, had time, and again, over the middle, intercepted. Otterson in the right place at the right time, and she'll take it to the house. And they talk about a great start for Minnesota. Otterson will do the holding duties. It used to be Madison Hahn, but Otterson out there for the holding. Mel Hopkins on the kicking duties. Snap is down, kick is up, and that's off the crossbar and won't. The try will fail. Let's take one more look at that touchdown on the pick six. Again, had some time in the pocket, had a receiver out in the flat, just went over the middle, and Otterson was right there and would take it all the way to the house. And Minx have to be very happy with their start, as you can see them take back onto the field for special teams. Minnesota Minx are led by head coach Moose Rylander. We'll get a shot of her at some point in the afternoon. As the ball falls off the tee. So for now, we're going to switch to our manual scoreboard for a little bit in this broadcast. And the wind clearly having a field day with the tee. So Diamonds Miller will hold it for kicker Mel Hopkins. Kick is away and a strong one. Takes another funny bounce at the 20, fielded by number 2, Chloe McLean. And she'll make her way up shy of the 40-yard line. So Midwest Mountain Lions looking to rebound early after a disastrous start on offense. Stat line for Ava Matz, the quarterback, 19 of 66, 4 touchdowns and 2 picks. Definitely a little low on the completion percentage side, but 4 touchdowns and 2 picks, you can't really argue against that. Other games along the way, they are coming off a win against the Iowa Phoenix back on May 17th. That was a 28-6 victory, and they split that season series. So looking to pass is Matz. Rolling out, has time, little floater, and little contact, but a nice defensive play on the back end to swipe that out of play by Everett Flynn, the linebacker out of Chisago, Minnesota. As well, happy Pride Month to all, and all on the field, all on the crowd, all online. Minnesota Minx, as you can see on your screen, it's hard to tell, but they are wearing nude uniforms. They're Pride-themed uniforms. It's a little hard to tell on your screen, but it's got the rainbow trimming on it and looks very, very sharp. I know their sister squad in the Minnesota Vixen, they have Pride jerseys as well, and their numbers are all rainbow. As 4th down punt here coming up. Or no, actually, 2nd down. As another bad exchange, and Matz is going to have to cover it. But Minnesota Vixen has a very similar style, but as a broadcaster, can't say it's the most easy to read. But great to see other ways to highlight Pride Month. Good look at the Midwest huddle and the quarterback. Very interesting uniforms, very Monster Energy-like with the claws. You can see the green. Very sharp-looking uniforms from the Mountain Lions as well. Looking to pass. Pressure from the Minx. Has time, firing it deep, and is overthrown of her intended target. That is number 30, Tiana Benjamin. And that'll set up a 4th down, and we'll see what the Midwest Mountain Lions elect to do here. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to let us know where you're watching from, who you're rooting for. There's a good look at head coach Moose Rylander of the Minnesota Minx. In her first season as head coach, as we're back to punt formation. Interesting punt formation. Not very far away from the line, but Matz with a line drive straight for Anthena Hurd and took a very funny hop, but will be fielded. And a nice tackle by number 30, Benjamin, once again. So we'll see the Minnesota Minx for the first time on offense. Again, it's been a struggle for them, but last week they found some success in the passing game, which created some opportunities in the backfield. So we'll see what they can do here. So bad snap. And Hopkins will have to cover. So we'll set up a 2nd and 18. Actually, Madison Hahn, who has been the quarterback for most of the season, starts out on the sideline. So it'll be Mel Hopkins, listed as a running back and kicker, but she'll be the starting quarterback. So one back in the backfield, almost out of the I formation. A couple of backs in the backfield, excuse me. Rolling out is Hopkins, nowhere to go, and she's going to be forced out of play. So that'll be a 3rd and a mile. So 3rd and a mile, almost to Duluth mile. Spread out in the gun, and a bad snap. That might be a safety if they can't cover it in. Hopkins quickly gets there, and unfortunately for the Minx, probably one of the worst starts I've seen on offense this year, as they're going to have a long punt back from their own territory. And again, just trouble with the snap. Couple of high snaps, not too much on Hopkins. But now we have our scoreboard data working once again. As we get set for a long 4th down try. So the punt is away, and a decent one, and bobbled, but fielded near the 30-yard line, and it's going to set up the Mountain Lions with fantastic field position. That was fielded by Chloe McLean once again. This tackle was made by Bex Fulmer. So we'll get the 3rd look for the Midwest Mountain Lions on offense. So here we go. Out of the gun, looking to pass once again. Flushed out of the pocket. Will take it out and be pushed out of bounds. A couple yards past the 20-yard line. Carry by Matz once again, the quarterback. Tackle made by Emmanuel. On PA this afternoon is Mike Peden. He's been your PA voice all season long, if you haven't made it out to Spring Lake Park High School. As they break the huddle, as we're set for second down. And just so you all know, we are pulling for our scoreboard data. No down showing right now. Unfortunately, that's being pulled straight from the in-house scoreboard, so it'll just be the time, but I'll update the downs as we go. Matt's looking to pass, thrown out in the flat, had to make a nice jumping catch, and wrapped up immediately by a Minx, and that was number 30, Benjamin, who made the catch. Let's take a look back on it. Again, took her time, a little high of a throw, but a nice quick tackle by number 98 of the Minnesota Minx. That would be Shanika Munson. So third down. Still out of the gun, looking to pass are the Mountain Lions. In enemy territory, has to run way back. Tries to throw it over the middle, and that will be incomplete. Otterson was in the area for the Minx, tried to make a play, but fell a few feet short. So we'll see what they do here on fourth down. As we have a stoppage in play here. I'm not sure if a timeout was called. I'll see what I can find out. So I don't believe there's a timeout. So apologize if our bug's not updating. We reflect what the scoreboard is showing in-house, so not a lot of control over it. So fourth down and short, or medium, I should say. Matt's rolling out, throwing deep for the end zone to the corner. And that's a touchdown. So the long bomb works for the Midwest Mountain Lions and gets them on their board for the first score. Let's take a look back on it on replay. Again, Matt's showing that arm strength. Nice, beautiful floater, and just found the soft spot, and good job by Benjamin to come back on it as we are set for the extra point. So you get a look at the quarterback, Matz, who's also doing the holding duties this afternoon. Kicker for the Mountain Lions, Mary Ellen Six. Kick is up, and that is through the upright. So we have our first lead for the Midwest Mountain Lions. And that's something the Minx will have to keep an eye on, as we'll take one more look at that touchdown. Iowa a week ago did not score a single extra. I think they scored one extra point a week ago. Otherwise, all their kicks were missed. As you can see, that beautiful floater. That dime dropped into Benjamin in the back field. Here's a good look at the head coach for the Midwest Mountain Lions. That's Jamal Hardy. Has to be cited for his Midwest Mountain Line offense finally getting some rebound success and scoring a touchdown in great field position. Small bench, too, as you can see in the back of your shot, as we're now back to the field for the resuming of play. Mary Ellen 6 will kick it away. Low little squib kick. And Anthena Hurd's going to have to get to it, and she does at the 10. Takes it out past the 25, makes a move out past the 30. And we'll give the Minx decent field position. Definitely a little nervous on the start of that kick, as you can see she had to field it on the run. Made a nice little move and fought for the extra 3-4 yards to get it out past the 30. So we'll see what the Minx offense can do here. Madison Hahn now will check into the game after that first drive with Hopkins at QB. Fortunately, a lot of struggle. So it'll be first down. And it looks like they're trying to do the downs. So first down. Rolling out is Hahn. Gonna have to get it away, and she is sacked. Great pursuit by the Midwest Mountain Lion defense, as you can see on your replay. Tried to do that design to rollout, which had a lot of success, but the Midwest Mountain Lions read that like a book and didn't let Hahn get anywhere. And that's the one strength of Madison Hahn. She does a pretty nice job buying time, has good arm strength. It's just the accuracy has been a little faulty at times, but she proved she can really sling it when she needs to. But unfortunately, the pressure too much there from the Midwest Mountain Lions. So looking to pass. July 23 makes a nice grab. Takes it back to the original line of scrimmage and more. And talk about a rebound play, as nice catch by July 23 gives the Minnesota great field position on a gain of a 20-plus yard chunk play. Let's take a look back on it on replay. See in the gun, good snap. Hahn with time fires a dart. And July 23 coming back to the play and taking it upfield. As they work in this bunch formation, Minnesota offense back out, as we're going to get our first penalty of the game. And that's going to be a false start, so that'll move back the Minnesota Minx another 5 yards. Still be third down. So that'll make it a 3rd and 9. Thanks for choosing to spend your Saturday afternoon with us here on HCTV. 3rd full season covering WFA football. So back out of the gun, a couple of receivers each side of the screen. Hahn at quarterback. Looking to roll out, buy some time, pressured, and she'll be sacked again. This Mountain Line defense playing stout, and that will force another Minnesota punt. This time in more reasonable field position, as again, got a little too antsy looking to one side of the field. And unfortunately, Midwest crashing the line and getting a big sack. As we approach 5.5 minutes, just under, in the first quarter. Again, they play by college rules, so any first down is a stoppage of the clock. Now punt formation once again. Hopkins back out there for the punt. And that one, low screamer, takes a good bounce. Will get out across the 50. Benjamin working back outside across the 40. And will give the Mountain Lions good field position. Again, those are some sharp-looking helmets with the lion claw on the side of the helmet. That's a good look at the huddle for the Mountain Lions. They're in the black helmets, black pants, green trimming with the claw logo. Minx in the all-black uniforms with the pride flags and pride lettering. Again, looking very sharp. Again, back to the all-black uniforms from both squads, which has kind of been the theme for us. A lot of teams donning the color black. So back out of the gun, 1st and 10. Matt's looking to pass. Will quarterback keep her, and she'll gain a few. Minx quickly close on it. So minimal gain. So officially a gain of 3 according to our PA announcer.
It's working, it's working, it's working.
And again, so far, it's been all passing attack for Midwest on a couple of quarterback keepers, but they know how strong this Minnesota run defense is. So they'll trying to get it done through the air. First run of the game, giving it to Benjamin. This time she gets around the outside. Big run. And just as I say it, Benjamin with a big carry and busting open. But that was a great play fake by the quarterback and this offensive coordinator. Here's a look back on the replay. Great misdirection. Hadn't been expecting it. And again, they did a nice job up front, but she was able to just break it back outside and get that first down. Again, those outside runs might be where they find the most running success. That front line for the Minx, incredibly strong. So running it up the middle definitely will be tough. So 356. Spread out wide, out of the gun. One back in the backfield. Matt's looking to pass. Has a receiver short. Now going for the corner and incomplete. Minx defender there, Castanagwe, and number 12, Cara Hammer, or Hammer. If I'm mispronouncing that, please let me know in the comments. Want to make this broadcast enjoyable for both crowds and so we get set for a 2nd and 10. They can pick up a first down near the 2-yard line. Looking to pass as Matt's flushed out of the pocket immediately, and she'll have to take it out of bounds. Good pressure by that Minnesota defensive line. And sunny day again. We were kind of dealing with nasty weather. It is still really dark out kind of to the right side on your TV screen. Try to get a shot of the dark clouds that are overhead, but right now in a patch of sunniness. So weather turning out to be really nice. Today it was danger of a mud bowl, all rainy turf. Showing heavy rains all day until about the past hour or so. So, going to favor this Midwest Mountain Lion passing game. It's back out of the gun. 3rd down. Looking to pass. Pressure from the Minx. Floater. End zone. Touchdown. Midwest Mountain Lions. That was Cara Hamer on the reception. And Midwest passing offense coming alive as we take a look back on the replay. Again, a lot of time, stepped up in the pocket. And again, not terrible coverage either. A couple of defenders there, but just found the soft spot and laid another dime as the lead extends to 12-6 in favor of the Midwest Mountain Lions. So 2:50 to go. as the chip shot is up and through. As the score will improve to 14-6, as we'll take one more look at the touchdown grab. Again, good protection. Pressure couldn't get there in time and just found the perfect spot to her intended target, and that sets up our current score. Mary Ellen 6. Back out there for the kickoff duties, and Minnesota needing this offense to come alive. Clearly not a repeat of week 1, already putting up 14 more points than last time out. Again, Midwest was held scoreless, 20-0. But clearly already obliterating their offensive total. And the kick was away and fielded near the 10-yard line by Anthena Hurd and quickly covered by the Midwest Mountain Lions. And we'll see what the Minx can do on offense here, as, again, Hurd, one of those other players you have to keep out for on the offensive side of the ball. When it's not going to July 23, it will go to Hurd. Backs to watch for the Midwest, or for Minnesota, Catherine Ghana and Diamonds Miller. Heavy workload, and we'll see. Hurd will get worked in on occasion. As 14-6 is our score, 2:38 to go here in the first quarter. Thanks for joining us for Division III football here on HCTV Sports. Good look at the offense working out of the eye. Getting a little cloudy overhead. So back out of the eye. One receiver top of your screen. Couple backs in the backfield. Hahn throws it out in the flat. Technically will be a run, and that will go to Hopkins and immediately wrapped up by the Mountain Lions. Interesting play design. Trying to get something else rolling. Nice job getting that out quickly, but again, she just shed her block extremely quickly as Bridget Harris makes a nice tackle and blowing up that play. As you can see her on your television screen, computer screen, wherever you're watching from. So we'll set up a second down. I believe it'll still be 2nd and 10. Got pretty close to that line of scrimmage, and now we'll work back out of the gun, one back in the backfield. On at quarterback. Low snap, fields it cleanly. Nowhere to go, but great blocking. Finds a receiver and just throws a little wide. No harm, no foul. Intended target was Anthena Hurd. And we'll set up a 3rd and 10. And we will get our... And we officially are in a weather delay. There was a lightning strike. So per rules, we have to take a 30-minute break from the last strike. So we're going to send it to a commercial break and then go into our lightning coverage. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will be right back after the lightning outage.
But here is the difference for the class of 1990.
We went from Mom Pie Eagles to Allen Peg.
I know you're all excited about Y2K. You could lose power or party like it's 1999.
Hastings High School has been graduating center since the first commencement in 1987.
graduation class of 2023. Go Raiders!
Funding for community TV is in rapid decline, and HCTV will not survive without your help. Let your local representatives know that you support community TV. To learn more, visit savecommunitytv.com.
Today, 4 Minnesotans lost their lives from fentanyl poisoning.
And 4 more will tomorrow.
Fentanyl is the #1 killer of 18 to 45-year-olds.
It's killing more and more 12 to 17-year-olds. They're people we care about.
Like my brother.
My sister.
My best friend.
We have the power to make a difference in our community. Join us in the fight against the fentanyl crisis.
Good evening, football fans. Welcome to Spring Lake Park High School in Spring Lake Park, Minnesota, as we're set for another WFA Division III matchup between the Minnesota Minx and Iowa Phoenix. We're already set to kick off here. Pretty quick pregame here as we're set to go. Joining me on the production side, Tori Sellner and Max Slocum on the cameras. Thanks for choosing to spend your Saturday afternoon with us as the kick is away and fielded near the 20-yard line by number 21, Christensen of the Iowa Phoenix. Makes a move, cuts inside, and tackled just across the 32-yard line. So good opening return for the Phoenix. So we'll set for first down. So we'll set for first down here. And just bear with me, folks, if you're watching from home. I am also doing the scoreboard. I forgot our our little score device back at the studio, so I'll be doing a little triple duty with replay. So if I'm a little slow on names, please bear with me. Pitch out into the flat, a lot of space. Trying to get across the 40, but a nice job by the Minnesota Minx on the defensive side of things to get things started. Let's take a look back at that on replay here. Again, that's the one strength to this Minnesota Minx defense I can rave on about all night is the strength of their defense, and they're being led by former Minnesota Vixen legend Moose Rylander in her first season as the head coach, taking over for Coach Palmer a season ago. Pitched outside by number 9, taken across the 40 in a shoestring tackle, but enough for the first down. So that was ran by Crystal Peterson out of Urbandale, Iowa. Again, Iowa too, looking at Iowa, they love to run the ball. Pretty successful in both parts. I think for Iowa, they're averaging just under 172 yards passing per game, and rushing a game, and then they're about 159 passing. So relatively balanced attack in a league that can be pretty tough to throw in. Pitched out in the flat, looking to bounce it outside. Gets near the 50-yard line, gain of about 4 on the carry. Tackled by number 44 of the Minx, Olaf Iradotir. Apologize if I butchered that one. So that'll set up a 2nd and 7. Again, Minx doing a nice job stepping up here. For the Minx, they're coming off a pretty big loss to Oklahoma last week in their debut here at Spring Lake Park, 50-0. But again, I think they played a lot better than that score indicated. Their defense looked strong, held them to really 12 at half, but a weird fake punt call at the half made it 18-0, and then just the offense couldn't get anything rolling. As Iowa looking to hand it off up the middle, Minx do a nice job with a plethora of players in on the tackle. But notably there, number 42, J.C. Otterson, one of the players you have to watch out for defensively. Again, just found the gap and closed it up quickly, and a plethora of Minx on the defensive side of the ball. So third down, third and medium here. Spread out wide out of the gun. Iowa looking to get another first down conversion. And a Minx player jumped. That was number 14. That was Juliana Rodriguez, the corner. Just got a little trigger happy there. So that'll give them another 5 yards. And well, that's actually, they'll call it encroachment instead of offside. differences between the two penalties. Encroachment, you touch a defensive player and it makes it dead. Offside, it's a free play, where you just cross that plane and they can have an opportunity to make a big play. If this is your first time watching WFA football, they do play by college rules, as already looking to take a deep shot, and that's picked off! Minnesota with a pick! That's number 20. Josieta Castanagüe. Again, Iowa very strong in the passing game, but got to be careful passing against this Minnesota Minx defense. Take a look here. Just jumped the route. And nice return on the back end. But again, I kind of talked about a little bit earlier. Minnesota is really going to need to get their offense rolling. So now we'll get to see Minnesota's offense for the first time this afternoon. Don't forget to let us know where you're watching from, whether you're watching in Iowa, across the country, who you're rooting for. Happy to have you along for the broadcast. I'll check the stream as much as I'm able to. Looking to run, bounce it outside, good blocking, trying to get the edges. Anthena Hurd in a big hit by the Phoenix, and gonna be a little physical there. I believe that was number 69, Tia Wolzetti, on the carry. We'll take a look at it here. Again, good play design. Looked like she was gonna get some separation, but Iowa did a nice job just closing that up. So it'll be second down. Play action pass. Madison Hahn rolling out. Looking to throw the receiver and caught. That's caught by July 23. The big tight end. And again, she's going to be the other weapon you have to watch out for on this Minnesota offense. Here it is. And just a nice tight throw. And that's where, too, earlier last week, or a couple weeks ago, those were kind of the throws Hahn was struggling with over the middle, but that time got a lot behind it and made a nice completion over the middle for a Minx first down. Looking great. Now they're going to be working out of the eye. Just under 10 minutes to go in the quarter. Throws out into the flat. That's July 23 once again, and pushed out of bounds by a plethora of Phoenix. Take a look back here. Again, doing a good job, just different play calls, different looks. That time she just took it herself and threw it out in the flat. So far, Madison Hahn, number 9, looking very good and composed to start this game. Handoff up the middle, looking to bounce it outside, nowhere to go. And the tackle is made by number 9, Crystal Peterson out of Urbandale, Iowa. That was Diamonds Miller on the carry. Apologize, you've seen a baseball scoreboard a couple times. I'm hitting the wrong button for how we're rigged up on the production side. Again, nice tackle by Iowa. Set up a second down.
All right, let's go. Let's keep working. Let's keep working. Oh, yeah.
Handoff. This time given to number 31. That was Catherine Ghana on the carry. A couple of Phoenix there in the area, and we'll set up a third down. So 8:07 to go here in the first quarter. Play by 15 minutes. College rules, so first downs, the clock does stop. Again, kind of spread out. Under center, Hahn looking to pass. Play fake over the middle, and that little miscommunication. Intended target was July 23, but just a little miscommunication, and we'll set up a fourth down. We'll see what Coach Rylander wants to do here. So that it looks like they are going to punt. Last week they did start off with Madison Hahn doing the punting duties, but then switched to Mel Hopkins for the second half. So they might keep Hahn out there and do a little pooch punt. That's what they'll elect to do. So it is a punt. So Hahn with a pretty good one, a low little screamer, fielded on the run. Uh-oh, there's a lot of space near side of the field. And she'll take it across the 40-yard line. A great return by number 7. That was Tiffany Schott. So let's take a look back at that return. Again, nice job fielding that on the run, as that was kind of a little low screamer. Dangerous for the Minx as well. It's a good look at the Minnesota Minx bench. Offensive coordinator Kenzie Riley looking to make some adjustments when they come back out onto the field. So it looks like we are going to get our first timeout of the game. It'll come from the Iowa Phoenix. First timeout, coming a little bit early, but while we have a moment, why don't we take a minute to go through the Minnesota Minx schedule. Here's a look at what they've played so far. They opened the season playing Sioux Falls. That was a 30-0 loss. Then they won 20-0 against the Midwest Mountain Lions. And then that big 50-0 against a good Oklahoma squad. And again, if the offense would have gotten rolling, I definitely think that would have been a lot closer than what that score indicates. So Iowa back onto the field. Once again, thanks for joining us, whether you're on YouTube or the cable channel. We have viewers from New York. Let's go, Iowa. That's Dupree. Thanks for tuning in and spending your Saturday with us. So first down, out of the gun, the quarterback Francis. Grace Francis out of West Des Moines, Iowa. Will hand it off to her running back, trying to slip in through, and she got stuffed up by number 56 of the Minx. That is Marlene Conyers, and she was a force last week for the Minnesota Minx. Let's take a look back at that play. It was definitely in danger of running everywhere, but quickly closed the gap, and good stand by the Minx to force a long second down. Out of the gun, two receivers top of your screen, one near side. Francis out of the gun with one back in the backfield. 6:46 to go in quarter number 1. Looking to throw, has a receiver out in the flat. That's number 21, plethora Minx there, and they'll wrap her up behind the line of scrimmage. And again, that's that powerful defense I was talking about. Intended target was Shannon Christensen out of West Des Moines, Iowa. And again, as you can see, a great play design here. Threw it out in the flat, open receiver. And just Minnesota did a fantastic job closing the gap, and we'll set up a 3rd and 16. So, big third down here, 3rd and long. Looking to pass. Has time in the pocket. Gonna throw it outside, and that is dropped. A Minx player might have gotten a hand on it, but she had an open gap on the far sideline, but just couldn't squeeze it. As let's take a look back on it on replay here. Let's see if she did get a hand on it. She might have gotten a hand on it, so that would have disrupted the flow of things. And unfortunately for Iowa, it might lead to a punting situation here as you get a good look at the Iowa huddle. But in coverage, that was, I believe, number 48. Not sure if I have a 48. Actually, they're going to go for it on 4th down or do a little pooch punt here. We'll see what they end up doing. Out of the gun, they will go for it. Throwing over the middle, picked off, Otterson. She had a pick last week, and now she has another one this week. Already 2 interceptions in the first quarter alone for the Minnesota Minx. Talk about an electric start. Let's take a look back on that. Again, had time in the pocket, just tried to get it over the middle, and there was Otterson just waiting over the middle for a mistake to happen. And let's take, there she is heading to the bench, a well-deserved break, but again, she is a huge part of this Minnesota Minx defense and coming up big already early on. So 1st down. Receiver in motion. That was Hopkins. Gives a pitch to Ghana. Looking for space. Hahn gets a nice block to help them get it back to the line of scrimmage and a little bit more. That was Catherine Ghana. So set up a big 2nd down. So 2nd down, working out of the gun. I'm loving the Minx showing a bunch of different looks under center out of the gun. They've put in a lot of work after the bye week last week. Hahn looking to pass, has a receiver out in the flat, opts to go over the middle, and a nice grab at the 30-yard line. Anthena Hurd with a big reception. Again, Hahn, a lot more patience today. Not too trigger happy this time. She's looking very sharp in this start.
Hey, that happens when you on front O-line. Keep working on front O-line.
Bunch formation. 2 backs in the backfield. Hahn play action, rolling out, looking for a receiver. Has July 23. Takes it across the 20. Another nice passing play for Minnesota. And again, that was kind of my key to the game last week, and it's my key to the game this week. They're already moving the ball significantly better. Again, good play fake, patient in the pocket, set her feet, and a nice throw to July 23. And Iowa's going to take another timeout and talk about this. So while we have a pause in the action, let's talk a little bit of the Iowa Phoenix schedule. So looking at the Iowa Phoenix schedule, opened the season on the 26th with a 26-7 victory, followed by 42-8 or 42-6 victory. Welcome back into Spring Lake Park High School. We are still in a lightning delay. Just wanted to do a little update. We haven't seen a strike for about 15, 20-ish minutes. So as soon as we get an update on a new start time, I will let everyone know. But I would guess between 6:15, 6:30. No one has taken the field yet. We haven't got any updates in the press box as of now. So just wanted to let everyone know the broadcast will continue at some point here shortly, and we'll update on any changes. So we will return back to our lightning delay football coverage, and we will check in once again in a little bit. The oversee the Raptors, and then they lost to the Midwest Mountain Lions once again later in the season. It's a very similar score, minus an extra point. So Phoenix off to a nice 2-1 start. Minnesota off to a 1-2 start, but a little deceiving. Again, I think that Oklahoma game didn't show exactly. So that same bunch formation, we'll see if they run or pass this time around. Running the play action again, has a receiver out in the flat, tries to cross body, and I think that's intercepted. 23 managed to get back and get a hand on it and maybe dislodge it. But we'll take a look at it once they make the call here and see who has it. But I think that's interception. And it is an Iowa ball, and unfortunately a great drive from Minx. The Minx stifled by an interception. Let's take a look back on it. Again, just tried to come back, cross body, and got tipped and went conveniently to number 3, Larissa McCulloch. Excuse me. Any Iowa fans, please let me know if I am butchering that name pretty poorly. So another drive for Iowa. So it's been turnovers galore in the early stages. 1 from Minnesota, 2 from Iowa. Iowa going to have to be careful here as they hand off up the middle. And again, that defensive line for Minnesota has been absolutely lights out the last couple of weeks. Let's take a look back on the replay here. Yeah, just nowhere to go. Had a little bit of separation, but that gap closed quickly up. Take a look at there on the bottom of your screen in the middle next to the cowboy hat. You can see head coach Moose Rylander as we return to action here. Out of the gun, Iowa looking to hand it off, but again into a plethora of Minx. Nowhere to go, and will set up a big 3rd down. Ball carrier was number 9, Crystal Peterson. And we'll set up a big 3rd down. There's a good look at Peterson, middle of your screen. Bringing in the play. Today, Iowa in the white jerseys, purple trim, and the black helmets. Minnesota in the all-black uniforms. New uniforms from this season. I will say that's been my one gripe with doing some of these games is they all wear black. Every single team wears black, but it's nice to get some purple in the uniforms. So back out of the gun. 3rd down. Pitch outside. Peterson once again trying to get the edge, and she'll get a decent gain on the carry, but short of the 1st down. Here's a look back at on the replay. Again, trying to show a bunch of different looks too out of the gun. Just Minnesota's pursuit has been excellent as you get a good look at the Minx defense on your screen. That defensive line too. Obviously the Minx Social Media Award for MVP a couple of weeks ago went to that whole defensive line, and so far they're looking like the MVPs here today as well. Actually, they're going to say she got the 1st down. So the chains do move for the Iowa Phoenix, excuse me. So looking to continue the drive, looking to pass. Has a receiver out in the flat, and that's dropped. That was number 21, the intended target. Shannon Christensen just couldn't hold on to it, and will set up a second down. Second and 10 at the 20. Thanks to PA announcer Mike Peden. Getting a chuckle over there. No, even if we're announcing separate broadcasts, even though we're doing separate broadcasts, gotta show each other love on on the broadcast side. So second and 10, out of the gun. And that's going to be a whole lot of movement. I think that's going to be a false start. And it was a false start. So that'll move them back 5. So you can see them all making the trek back. So basically where this drive began, near their own end zone. Phoenix looking to rebound again. Once again, thanking our production crew. Max Slocum on the wide cam. Tori Sellner on the tight cam. Tori kind of coming in a pinch situation today. Appreciate having Tori alongside us. Good look at the Minx, or excuse me, Iowa Phoenix offense. Back out of the gun. 3 receivers near side of your screen. 1 top, 1 in the backfield. Francis looking to pass, and we're going to get more laundry, and it's going to be another false start. Saw the line judge near side indicate that false start, so they're going to move back another 5. And this is kind of where we saw Minx get in trouble last week. Kind of shot themselves in the foot, gave really good field position, and that's what allowed Oklahoma to score. And it's kind of showing a similar storyline here, except for Iowa. Iowa, too, notably with a small bench here, as we've got second down and a mile. Out of the gun, looking to pass as Francis has a receiver going deep, throwing deep, and just a step overthrown. A touch of contact, but nothing to disrupt the play. That was Larissa Michalik. Mikulik, excuse me. I did pronounce that wrong. Apologize about that for our Iowa fans. And I will try to... I could call her Curly instead. But thanks to all the comments. Blank watching on YouTube. Net Neutrality, Dezo. Thanks for joining us, and Dupree. So big third down and long. 23.3 seconds to go here in the quarter. Screenplay, and Otterson right there. And she read that like a book, number 42, J.C. Otterson. And that's how we should end the quarter here. But before we take a break, let's take a look back at that. Nice defensive play here. Again, nice design screenplay, but then you'll see Otterson just come up and wrap her up immediately. And that is how we will end the first quarter. So our score remains 0-0 here. Minnesota Minx, Iowa here on HCTV Sports. We'll take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
But here is the difference for the class of 1990.
We went from Mile High Eagles to Allen
I know you're all excited about Y2K. You could lose power or party like it's 1999.
Hastings High School has been graduating center since the first commencement in 1877. Congratulations, class of 2023. Go Raiders!
Funding for community TV is in rapid decline, and HCTV will not survive without your help. Let your local representatives know that you support community TV. To learn more, visit savecommunitytv.com.
He gets the pin.
What a move, what a goal! Oh, what a shot, scores! The Raiders, can they get the lip? Yes, they do.
Just snipes one.
Oh my God!
And reaching up and making the play.
It's moving!
Over.
Looking to throw, and she's going to get the first down.
Gone! Touchdown, Raiders!
Welcome back to Spring Lake Park High School. Long fourth down here for Iowa. Not sure if they're going to try and do an arm punt or an actual punt. We haven't seen them punt at all this afternoon, so see what they do here to open up the second quarter. Francis will do a little pooch punt, nearly blocked sky high, as it's going to be dropped. She's going to have to cover quickly, and she does. That was number 14, Juliana Rodriguez, the corner out of Eagan, Minnesota. Fortunately, muffled the punt, as you can see her head to the sideline of your screen, but she covered it. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. Special teams has been struggling a little bit for Minnesota as of late. However, like I said, I liked how the offense was looking, and Minnesota looking to get back to form after ending that last drive with an interception. Apologize, I also missed a Iowa timeout. So Iowa's already down to one timeout for the half. They called 2 in the first quarter after throwing a couple of interceptions. And out of the gun for Minnesota. Madison looking to pass. Has time. Rolling outside. Has a receiver over the middle. Hurd and getting caught for a first down. Anthena Hurd, again, looking great on offense. Let's take a look back on the replay here. Again, Hahn does a nice job staying calm in the pocket, rolling out, and then firing a dart to Hurd for the first down. Welcome back into Spring Lake Park High School. Lightning delay nearly completed. Both teams back on the field warming up, so it should be about another 5-10 minutes till we re-kick off. So we'll leave the picture here on the field, and then you'll see your screen fade to black for a moment, and then we will resume our coverage. So stand by here shortly, as play should resume in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So we will be back momentarily. Welcome back into Spring Lake Park High School. The lightning delay has concluded. About 45 minutes or so of delay. And the Minnesota Minx are backed up in their own territory. Looking to get some offense moving forward as you take a good look at the Midwest Mountain Lions on your screen. So there's 1 minute and 44 seconds left in the first quarter. It's a third down and about 10. No, third and long, excuse me. Thanks for sticking around through that lightning delay, everybody. We're back at it. Want to give a shout out to our production crew as well. Ian and Ben on the cameras for being here as we do more women's football. So, bunched formation, 3 backs in the backfield. They're going to give it off. And she will be tackled near the sideline. That was number 22, Jayla Rashaw out of St. Cloud, Minnesota. And unfortunately for the Minx, will set up another punting situation. So it'll be 4th and 14 here as we resume action. Mel Hopkins back out there doing the punting. We've seen Madison Hahn as one of the punters. I saw J.C. Otterson taking a few warm-ups earlier punting the football, so maybe we'll see J.C. a little later. But for now, Mel Hopkins back there, as you can see on your screen. Punt is away, and that's a pretty decent one. Takes a funny how Benjamin will field it on the run. Minx got a closer, retreating all the way back to the 40. Diamonds Miller in pursuit. Can she get the edge? 6 with a block, taken across the 50, 40, and finally pushed out of bounds. She ran a mile just to gain the yardage she did. And that will set up another possession. So far, back-to-back scoring drives for the Midwest Mountain Lions. They're getting it all done through the air. Benjamin's been pretty effective out of the backfield, as you can see here in the middle of your screen. But she's kind of been effective both in the passing game, return game, and running game. So we'll see how they utilize her here as both teams out on the field as we await the next possession for the Midwest Mountain Lions. 1 turnover on the day. Started the game off with a pick. J.C. Otterson with another one. She's been a interception machine the past few weeks. Looking to pass is Matz, rolling back deep, pressure, screenplay thrown underneath, and right into J.C. Otterson. Who else for the Minnesota Minx? That was caught by number 13, Kelly Scariot. As we'll take a look back on that screenplay again. She rolled back a mile on that screenplay. Did a nice job getting that one over and getting it to her target, but she ran straight into Anthena Hurd and J.C. Otterson to set up a second down. And just as quickly as we came back, quickly we will go, as that is finally the end of the first quarter. The Midwest Mountain Lions are up 14-6 over the Minnesota Minx. So we will take another super brief break. We'll be back a little quicker this time. Thanks for joining us. You're watching Minnesota Minx football here on HCTV Sports.
He gets the pin. What a move, what a goal! Oh, what a shot, scores! The Raiders, can they get the lift? Yes, they do.
Just snipes one.
Oh my God! And reaching up and making the play. It's moving. It's over.
Looking to throw, and she's going to get the first down.
One touchdown, Raiders!
Back here from Spring Lake Park High School, back to pass Matt, stepping up in the pocket, has a lane. Otterson will kind of retreat to keep her in check, and nice awareness by the quarterback of the Midwest Mountain Lions to get that pass away. So opening play out of the second quarter thrown incomplete. So we'll set up a third down. Apologize, the quarter is not updating on our graphic. So I will go check over here momentarily as Mance is back to pass. Rolling out. Firing deep once again, and that should be a flag, and it is. Way too much contact from the Minx defender in coverage. That should be pass interference, and since it's pass interference, it will be 15 yards. It is not a spot foul like in the NFL. Let's take a look back on the replay here. Again, you can see the pass getting down way too early on the contact. If she didn't make that contact, that's clean coverage, but unfortunately for Minnesota, that's a free set of first downs. So first down. Chains moved after the pass interference. Handoff up the middle. Otterson quickly there and will ring up the running back, number 13, Scariot. Again, let's take a look back on the replay. First time they've ran it in a while. Again, nice draw play, but Otterson came crashing in. And nice job defensively, as you can kind of see here on the back right of your screen in the blue sleeves and the blue socks. That's the alternate color for the Minx, blue and black, primary colors. Pitch out of the backfield, Benjamin way back there, and that's why they tried to have her go to the edge, but nice job by Minnesota stopping her of the line to gain. Set up a third and short. Again, long pitch, got the outside edge, and Minnesota a little bit of a tough time closing it, but managed just enough. Look at the huddle as they break and are going to set up a third down in about 4 or 5. Down in distance, not on our scoreboard here in stadium. So out of the pistol, quarterback looking to keep it. Option style play, and she's going to be short. Good job by Minnesota. That was number 56. Conyers in pursuit. She's been another bright spot on this Minnesota Minx defense. Here's a look back at it again. Found a little bit of a hole to keep the play alive. Good block on Otterson, but then Conyers just in the back came out of nowhere and helped wrap up that play. So fourth down. .12:24 to go. Looking to pass, has time. And a little bit of confusion there. Anthena Hurd in coverage, but couldn't get around to it. Are the Midwest Mountain Lions as the Minnesota Minx finally get a turnover on downs. 2 straight scoring drives stuffed out. So we'll see what Minnesota can do. And again, they need to get this offense going. And again, I think it's going to be the passing game. They have struggled all season long with the running game. We've seen the running game succeed when the passing game succeeds. A lot of teams you talk about running to set up the pass, but they have the inverse problem. They need the pass to set up the run. And they're right back out of that I formation. And Thina Hurd is the receiver near side. Just out of the hair of your screen. 3 backs under center. And a fumble. That's Rashaw, and she'll have to cover. So again, just having a lot of trouble here, especially with all that rain. Everything's a little more slick, and gonna have to keep that in account the rest of the way. Apologize for having data pulling issues. We'll look to correct that shortly as the run by Rashaw. Trouble getting it back to the line of scrimmage, and that'll set up another 3rd down and long. And a big pass play over the middle. July 23. She's off to the races, cross midfield, 1st down and more. And again, that's who you got to watch out for in the passing game, is July 23. Let's take a look back on the replay. Pass over the middle. And she takes it across midfield. So 11:14 to go in the quarter. Rolling out is Hahn. Great play. Design into 23 again. Again, that has been a play that's been their bread and butter all season long. Madison Hahn sells the play fake and floats it straight to 23. So we'll take a look back on it right now. Again, buys time. Nice job rolling out. Nice floater. And gets it to the big tight end in space. Handoff up the middle. Looking, I believe that's Hopkins on the carry. Gets it up near the 1st down. And again, that's why you pass it to set up those running plays. And that was Hopkins on the run. Again, just cuts away inside. Doesn't find a big hole, but gets enough yardage to get closer to that 1st down. So about a couple yards short. And they're going to go with the tush push. And we'll see what they give them. I believe they're going to be just short. It will be 4th and 1. So we'll see if they decide to go with it again. And got a little ahead, a lot of laundry on the field. We'll see what the call is. And that will be a false start. We'll have to see if that changes things for Coach Rylander. So set up a 4th and 6. And I think if you're Coach Rylander, you go for it here. As there is an injury down on the field. That's number 55 for the Minx. Hunsberger out of Eden Prairie, Minnesota, the O-lineman. O-line, D-lineman. And good to see she's walking up under her own power. Well, we're going to go back to manual scoring for now until we can correct the score operation. So bear with me for a little bit. You won't have the clock on screen, but we will get that updated once I have a moment to run and pop over. So they are going to actually come back out in punt formation, which we'll see what they do here. They have faked it in the past. We'll see what they decide to do, and they will fake it in an immediate pressure. Hopkins trying to get to the edge, and she's tackled by number 87. That is Jessica Powell, listed as a linebacker. Take a look back on it, and great pursuit. They just read it like a book. The offensive line couldn't hold and just lit her up immediately. Pitching out of the backfield to Benjamin, looking to retreat and nowhere to go, looking like Justin Jefferson trying to evade all these tackles. And eventually a lot of running leads to a lot of nothing. So we'll take a look back on it on replay again. She's so shifty in the backfield. Such a good gadget piece. They can put her wherever, and defense has to be wary. And again, seeing her trying to find a lane, but the Minx held strong. Nice job defensively. And that's one key piece the coach for the Mountain Lions has to always keep in their game plan. So back to the field. 14-6 is our score here. 8:14 to go in the quarter as that play goes for a minimal gain. Tackle is made by number 65, Mallory Breakmeyer. So set up a 3rd down and 6. Again, Minnesota Minx defense looking pretty good besides those couple of passing plays for the score, but we'll see if they can get another huge stop. Midwest Mountain Lions out of the gun, one back in the backfield, couple receivers near side of your screen. Matt's looking to pass, has time, throwing near side, reception Benjamin, and she should have the 1st down. And here's a look back on it. And it was a gain of 11, so that's the 1st down by a wide margin. As, again, there's the Minx struggling to keep her in check, as she's been running rampant on this field this afternoon. So change move, 1st down. 8:05. Looking to pass is Matz. Now looking design quarterback draw and taking up the middle for a few. Seen that a couple times. Using Benjamin a little bit. They're using Scariot. Matz and then Benjamin. Those 3 have kind of been the pieces in the running game. So we have a brief stoppage of play for an injury down on the field. That's an offensive lineman, number 66, for the Minx, or for the Mountain Lions, excuse me.
A reminder, fans, our 50-50 raffle is still going. You can look for raffle ticket sellers in the stands or go.
So we hope she's okay. That was kind of a late injury. But with that pause in the action, I'm going to send it to one more brief break. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You're watching Minnesota Minx Midwest Mountain Lion football here on HCTV Sports.
Some you've heard of more, but it doesn't bother me cause I just love to explore. Interviewing owners and lending a hand. I love to assist for as long as they can stand.
Back here from Spring Lake Park High School, she is walking off with some help, which is good to see, but never like to see injuries, especially on a wet field. So here we go. As waiting to resume play. Now she's having a little more trouble hobbling off, but actually, that might be number 56. Nope, it was 66, excuse me. Looked like a 5, but that was, once again, Caitlin Wolfer. Look at a pass. Matt's going for the end zone. Has Benjamin deep, and that's caught. And another touchdown. Again, struggling to keep her contained as Benjamin takes it to the house. So we'll take a look back on the replay here. Lots of time in the pocket. Beautifully thrown ball. Gets behind the linebackers and takes it to the house and extends our lead by 2 scores once again. As Matson, Mary Ellen 6 back out onto the field for the kicking holding. There's been some weird delays here with the actual facility scoreboard, so that is why there's a little bit of delay on the score change as that kick is up and through the uprights. So clearly the extra point not a problem this afternoon, as we'll take one more look back at that touchdown here. Again, a little high of a snap, but nice pocket presence. Steps up, fires a deep shot, and leads to the score. And again, kind of flipping the script from what we saw in week 2 of the season. So all smiles on that Mountain Lion bench.
Community television across the state of Minnesota, visit www.savecommunitytv.com for more information.
So Mary Ellen 6 back out there for the kick. Once again, thanks for joining us. Hunter Pinky with Ben Brandon and Ian Andersak and the crew from the press box here at Spring Lake Park High School. Also want to give a shout out to North Metro TV. Thank you for them helping us get lined up with the school and getting all the firewalls and permissions to get this broadcast on the air. As kick is up and away. It's a pretty good one. Soaring through the air. Again, takes a funny bounce and will stay in play. So Hurd will have to field it. Looking to took an interesting cut, but will be tackled at the 25-yard line. The old touchback mark.
will be 1st and 10 for Minnesota at their own 25.
So 6:03 to go here in the second quarter. Sun back shining here. Mother Nature not being too kind to us. Ended up being a wise decision to move all of our gear in the press box, as there was about a 45-minute lightning delay around 5:30. As handoff to Diamonds Miller quickly shoots through the gap, but is quickly closed up, and she took a shot and the ball kicked out, but I believe she was down by contact, but obvious concern too for Diamonds Miller. She gets back up, must have had the wind knocked out of her, but they already stopped the clock, so they have to take her out. We'll see what happened on this play, see if we can see. Just kind of took a hard shot to the stomach, but she was able to run off under her own power, which is good. But regardless, if there's an injury stoppage whatsoever, you do have to check out for one play. Diamonds Miller, historically a special teams player, but starting to get some action in the running game, as a fumble by Hopkins goes straight back to her, as it will still set up a 3rd and long. Again, a little bit of wariness for the passing game, just with the slick conditions of the turf, the football. Ball security is going to be huge, as .440 to go. Handoff, inside handoff, looking to get it to the outside edge, and a big tackle from the Mountain Lions. That was number 30, Benjamin, on the tackle. I believe it was 36 on the carry. Strunk on the carry for the Minx. Gain of 2, and we'll set up another 4th. Trying to get it to the outside edge. A little success, but then Benjamin came crashing in. That dual threat, both on offense, as you see her on your screen. See what the Minx decide to do, but I'm guessing it is another punt. So Minx back in punting formation. Benjamin moving back deep to return. Hopkins back out there on the punting duties. Low screamer once again. Fielded by Benjamin. Working away inside, across the 50. Getting the outside edge, and still going. And she'll take it all the way down to the 20-yard line on a huge return for the Mountain Lions, and a great field position once again. And Minnesota really needs to figure out a way to contain her. So we'll take another look back on that return. Tiana Benjamin again. An asset in all 3 phases of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. The smaller bench size not proving to be an issue for the Mountain Lions, as they're gearing up for a strong push. Hard to believe this team is 1-3 with how they're looking today. They've shown a lot of offensive potential, but they struggled again back in that week 2 matchup. But proving all the doubters wrong right now as they spread it back out, one back in the backfield. Couple receivers near side, one to the top. Matt's looking to pass. Thrown over the middle and hit one of the linemen. I believe that was number 64, Dewbarrel. Kind of hit her in the back of the helmet, and that's incomplete. So we'll set up a 2nd and 10.
It will be 2nd and 10 at the 24-yard line.
So now out of the eye, they have one back deep in the backfield. You can see on the left edge of your screen. See what they decide to do here. First look inside, handoff to the fullback. And quickly stuffed by that strong Minx defensive line. Conyers in on the defensive stop as the clock continues to run down. Conyers, again, one of the key pieces to this Minnesota Minx defensive line, linebacking core. Good compliment to Otterson. Plethora of solid defenders in the secondary. Castanagüe, Hurd, Rodriguez. So 3rd and 9. Back out of the gun. One back in the backfield, couple of receivers, top of your screen. High snap. Who's going to get the football? And it will be the Midwest Mountain Lions. First bad snap we've seen in a while. First drive from Minnesota was all bad snaps. As you can see that one just a little high, and with that slick football, kind of hard to make that one-handed grab, but Matz is able to cover. And we have officially hit the 2-minute warning. So with us hitting the 2-minute warning, while it's been a while since our pregame, why don't we take this moment to look over the Midwest Mountain Lion schedule. Looking at the Midwest Mountain Lion schedule, they opened the season at Iowa with a 28-7 loss. Then they would follow that with a 20-0 loss against the Minx, opening with pretty much 3 straight losses with that 48-21 at a good Sioux Falls Snow Leopard team. They've really come a long way since they were a developmental team alongside Minnesota. They played a few tough games, but they've really come into their own, and then obviously getting a win last time out on the 17th. Iowa by a very similar mark, 28-6. So flipping that scoreboard. And looking to do the same with Minnesota. Already have matched the point total they allowed, putting up 21. So 2 minutes to go here. Deep is Matz, looking to punt, kind of a more bunched up punt formation. Not a lot of space between the line as that one is sent down, as she should have not fielded that, but she will take it out and get a decent return out of it and take it near the 20. So works the same as a touchback, but definitely had, as you'll see on replay, definitely had some motion that would have carried to the end zone for a touchback, but Hopkins opting to take it out. Returner and a kicker. Talk about doing both duties, Mel Hopkins. Good to see another toolkit as we have a player down on the field. That's number 11 for Minnesota. That is Everett Flynn, the linebacker out of Chisago. And she is up under her own power, but she is limping, as you can kind of see at the bottom left-hand side of your screen. So we hope she's okay. Never like to see a lot of injuries, and that's the danger of kind of playing in these wet, rainy games. Have to be a little careful with your footing, as they were briefly working on her leg. But now we'll see Minnesota back on offense. See what they can do here. And before we send it to a halftime break, we will take a look at all of the first half scores. So back out of the gun is Minnesota. Little confusion at the line. So one back in the backfield. Hahn will take it out of the gun. 23 in motion. Another handoff, looking to bounce it outside is Rashaw, and again, read like a book, number 87. Once again, Powell in on the tackle. Again, running game in trouble for Minnesota. Needed that pass game to kind of spark this offense, but they're pretty content running it to halftime. They will receive out of the intermission. 1:16 to go. Handoff once again, given to Rashaw. Get a decent chunk play on the carry as the clock continues to trickle down. Just under a minute to go. Mountain Lions not burning any timeouts. So it'll be 3rd and 9. Spreading it out again. Minnesota, a couple of receivers near side of your screen, one to the top. Now they're looking to pass. Has plenty of time. Firing it deep. What a cannon! And she overthrew 23. 23 kind of stutter-stepped. Little miscommunication, but Hahn got a lot under that throw. And if that was a little bit closer, she was off to the races. And first time we've really seen a Minnesota Minx deep shot at these home games. Love to see a little bit more of that. And again, just a little too far, but I love that play call. Trying to take a deep shot, take one off the roof of the Mountain Lions. Something they're going to have to keep an eye on the rest of the way. As expecting punt formation once again. Benjamin back deep to return. Hopkins back out to punt. There's 32 seconds on the clock. We'll see how aggressive the Mountain Lions want to be, but barring another fantastic return from Benjamin, as that was a sky-high punt, that's going to take a Midwest bounce, but probably a good thing they didn't field it, but that will give Midwest a decent field position right at about the 36-yard line of Minnesota. So it'll be 22 seconds left in the half. See if the Mountain Lions can get another score here before a half. Again, 21-6 is our score. Hunter Pinky on the call, sports director at HCTV. Thanks for joining us here. And thank you to all the Minx fans putting up with my voice for the home games this season. Appreciate having you all for a ride. It's been a blast as Matt's back in the pocket. Rolling out, firing deep, looking. Is that picked off or did? That is incomplete. Didn't quite catch the tail end of the play, so let's take a look and see what happened. Wasn't sure if it was batted down or if it was a deep shot, good long pass. That was nearly intercepted. But again, good coverage by the Minx. Oh, and they're going to call it. And we are going to get our first timeout. Good look at the Minnesota Minx on your screen. Again, Coach Rylander out to talk to her defense. She also does the defensive coordinating. If you don't know a lot about Coach Moose, she is a high school girls flag football referee. Helped officiate recent playoffs, and hopefully she'll get a state tournament appearance as a referee. But she was also a defensive coordinator for Cretin-Durham Hall for a while. Legendary defensive lineman for the Minnesota Vixen. And she's really put this defense in a great position. Obviously still figuring some stuff out offensively, but from this first season, the Minnesota Minx have really grown into something special. And obviously putting some pieces yet together and still a lot of game left, but hopefully we can see a lot more to come and see what they can do here. And if you're a Midwest Mountain Lion fan, have to be pretty happy with how your offense is playing today. 11 seconds. And that should be encroachment. Actually, that'll be offside. I believe that's encroachment. Offsides would be a free play. Encroachment is a dead ball and gives 5 yards, so make it a little bit easier of a bomb for Mats at quarterback. Again, don't forget, we will do a touchdown recap. There's another flag, and that's a false start, so give back the 5 yards you just were given by the Minx. So back they go with 7.5 seconds now on the clock. Same formation out of the gun, couple of receivers each side. Matt's at quarterback, one back in the backfield. That will be Scariot. Stepping up in the pocket. Will take it. And she might have been past the line of scrimmage. And there goes the laundry. That is an illegal forward pass. That one was a little bit too tight of a window there. That should be an illegal forward pass. She was pretty close to that line. I'll see if our wide shot has it once the call is made. We'll see if they decide to pick it up either. Other call I would think would maybe be intentional grounding. And I was right, that was an illegal forward pass. And that's how we will get sent to halftime, but Midwest Mountain Lions really getting the offensive rolling here as of late. But before we send it to a quick break, let's take you through how we got to our 21-6 scoreline. First game action opened up with a pick 6 from J.C. Otterson. As she just read that like a book, jumped the route, and took it to the house. Next up would be a couple of touchdown passes. First, going to Benjamin on a beautiful floater in double coverage. Just found the right spacing and hit her primary wide receiver. Then we'll wrap it up with another touchdown pass. Similar side of the field, nice little floater, and that one would go to number 12, Hamer. And that's how we got here with the little Key and Peele celebration at the end. So, halftime score, 21-6 in favor of the Midwest Mountain Lions. We're going to take another break, and we will be back for second half action. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You're watching Minnesota Minx football here on HCTV Sports.
With over 300 passionate educators, our dedication to student success has never been stronger. These educators are more than teachers.
Let's paint the picture.
They are mentors who ignite curiosity and inspire a lifelong passion for learning. Our schools provide real-world experiences through cutting-edge programs in engineering and environmental science. At Hastings, we take pride in our blend of rigorous academics and enriching arts and athletic programs. These programs nourish our students' educational journey, enhancing their creativity and discipline and fostering skills that resonate throughout their academic and personal lives. This is Hastings Public Schools, where we care, we empower, and we achieve. Students are at the heart of all we do.
But here is the difference for the class of 1990.
We went from Mile High Eagles to Allen Peg.
I know you're all excited about Y2K. You could lose power or party like it's 1999.
Hastings High School has been graduating seniors since the first commencement of 1875. Congratulations, class of 2023. Go Raiders!
Funding for community TV is in rapid decline, and HCTV will not survive without your help. Let your local representatives know that you support community TV. To learn more, visit savecommunitytv.com.
He gets the pin. What a move, what a goal! Oh, what a shot, scores! The Raiders, can they get the layup? Yes, they do.
Just snipes one.
Oh my God! And reaching up and making the play. It's over.
Looking to throw, and she's going to get the first down.
Gone! Touchdown, Raiders!
Push that trash that way, not this way. Come on. Oh, hey there. Do you like HCTV?
That's one small step for Hastings and one giant leap for community television.
Do you want a custom video that promotes your business or organization and gives you the results you're looking for? As an HCTV sponsor, our staff will work with your business or organization to create a custom video to promote your brand. You also have an option of getting a shout out in every sporting event we cover. And that's 3 points for your business.
So support HCTV today!
Go to hastingstv.org/sponsors for more information or to give a one-time donation.
Welcome back to Spring Lake Park High School in Spring Lake Park, Minnesota. We're set for the second half action. The Midwest Mountain Lions lead 21-6 over the hometown Minnesota Minx. I'm Hunter Pinky alongside Ian Andersack, Ben Brandon on the cameras. Thanks for choosing to spend your Saturday evening with us. Obviously, a little slower paced game due to the lightning delay, but everything all settled now. Weather's chilled out, turf a little wet, but here we go. As the kick is away, Minx back to receive, and that is bobbled initially, but Hurd will field it. Looking at bouncing outside, good return, and she'll take it past the 40 and out near the 43-yard line on a big return by Minnesota Minx, and that's the exact way you need to come out firing in the second half. Let's take a look back on it. Again, a little trouble initially, but then managed to pick it up and got some speed and bounced it outside, got around a couple of tackles, and gives the Minx pretty decent starting field position, but it's going to come down to how this offense can get going. They've been struggling all night so far. Obviously, their one score coming off a J.C. Otterson pick six. So, two-back set, handoff, Rashaw. Bouncing that outside, good rush, and good gain of a few on the carry. Again, that's a good way to get the ground game established. Again, nice working outside the numbers and successful run play. 5 yards officially on the carry. Set up a 2nd and 5. Working back out of that I formation, 2-back set. Up the middle, Rashaw cuts it back and working away forward. We'll gain a couple. Maybe 1 or 2 on the carry, but we'll set up a 3rd and medium. So it'll be about 3rd and 3. It's pretty manageable. We know the Minnesota Minx like to run the tush-push Philadelphia special play. And they've had a fair amount of success with it, getting a touchdown a week ago off it. But we'll see what they can do here. Back out of the I formation, 1 receiver near side. Big back, now in a fullback. Player jumped, but no call, as they'll rush for a 1st down. So thankfully, that no call won't come back to haunt the Minnesota Minx. Take a look back on the replay here. 71 was the one who jumped, but didn't cause an O-lineman to react, so that helped the no call. But regardless, good rush by the Minx in the first down of the 2nd half. And again, at this point, if you're Minnesota, just 1 drive at a time, see what you can do. Only a 2-ish score game if you can convert on the 2-point conversion. Running all out of the I are the Minnesota Minx. Now looking to pass, thrown out in the flat, and intended for July 23 and couldn't get it to the big tight end. We'll take a look here how close that was. Again, good. I'm loving the play action fake. Nice sell. Little floater and just couldn't hold on to it. It was 23. Good placement by Madison Hahn on that throw. Once again, if this is your first time joining us for a Minnesota Minx broadcast, we are obviously the partner team of the Minnesota Minx, so we are a little more homer. But I like to say we are Minnesota lean, but still make it exciting for both. So handoff. Rashawn looking to get outside, find some space. There she goes, out to the 30. She's taking it down, and a big run by Rashawn. Let's take a look back on it, and that might be the longest run of the season. Bounces outside, great offensive line blocking, and the run game outside the numbers is working fantastic. A lot of times, Minnesota will rely on their strong offensive line, defensive line, but to kind of run it up the middle. But today they're starting to find some success, as you see Rashawn on your screen as the huddle breaks. And you can see the defense of the Midwest Mountain Lions. Yeah, and unfortunately, too, for Midwest Mountain Lions, this is actually our first broadcast of the Midwest Mountain Lions. We were supposed to cover them 2 years ago, but we got rained out at Harding High School. Fortunately, our setup was not able to be completed because it was raining constantly. At least today, it didn't rain initially, so we got up our cameras in the press box and had a lot more space to do so as Rashawn deeks and dukes her way through traffic, and another good chunk play by Minnesota. Again, just patient running, finding these gaps, good blocking too, and making it a gain of 6 on the play, and Minnesota offense is humming here. Once again, a happy Pride Month to all those in the LGBTQ plus community, all allies and those tuning in. As you can see, good shot here on the cameras. You can see the trim really well, the rainbow numbering on the shot right here. A little more easy to read than, again, those Vixen jerseys I was talking about as, botch play action pass. Hahn still has it, looking to take it herself. Botch play turning into something, and she's going to take a pretty big tackle. But a good job by Hahn to help save that play, but took a fairly substantial shot. Again, they're going for the bread and butter play action pass. Gets caught up on Rashaw, but has to make something out of nothing, and nice job at least getting 1 or 2 on the play. Good defense by Benjamin in on the tackle. See what they can do here. As still working out of the eye. 2 backs in the backfield, 1 receiver near side. Handoff, Diamonds Miller cuts her way through traffic. She might have fumbled that football, but be for a short game. Good stand by the Midwest Mountain Lion offensive line, or defensive line. And tries to cut her way up. Yeah, and she got the first down. For a second, I thought she fumbled the football, but it was her knee. But the chains will move, setting up a first down. First really sustained drive of the game for Minnesota. As we approach 9:35 to go in the third quarter. Imagine back to that bunch formation, 3 backs behind Hahn, who takes it under center, rolling out to her non-dominant side, and she is sacked. And good defensive play call. Once again, 87, Powell in there on the tackle. They really like to run a lot of play action, but here just did not have the blocking support on that side, and unfortunately led to a sack. And we're going to get our first timeout of the second half. Midwest Mountain Lions wanting a moment to talk about their defense, especially it being a second and a mile long. If you look here on the wide shot, in the back you can see the sticks, the 2-yard marker by the Hy-Vee sign in the background. That's where the line of scrimmage is, and the line to gain is all the way down at the 9-yard line. So big sack there from the Midwest Mountain Lions. Again, they coming off a very strong season a year ago. Honestly making waves in the Division III scene. Coming in today, they were averaging about 14 points a game, and so far blowing that total out of the water, barring the stats that are online. They're averaging about 97 rush yards a game, 204 pass yards. Well, it says 51 pass yards a game. Not sure if those stats are accurate, but according to the Hosted Sports website, that's what we have for intel. Handoff up the gut, and looking to bounce it outside is Diamonds Miller as she bursts through the hole, getting a good chunk yardage on the play. Benjamin in on the tackle. Again, finally the running game starting to work here for Minnesota. She cuts up way through traffic, tries to get it outside, but Benjamin makes a nice tackle. As you can see her in a Mary Ellen 6 talking on the sideline, but a long third down here. Third and about 16 or 17. Handoff Rashaw, looking to cut her way, but this time a great stand by the Mountain Lions as 8:26 left to go in the third. We'll have to see what Minnesota elects to do. Not sure what Hopkins' range is as a kicker. She can make a lot of extra points, but this is a little bit long for a WFA field goal. And they're going to give it a shot here. So unless they pull out a fake with Madison Hahn, I wouldn't be surprised. So long field goal attempt here. Kick is down and long kick, and will hit the end zone, hit the tee. No good, but I respect the attempt. Hopkins is a very solid and accurate kicker. Just didn't get quite the length on that she would have liked. And will be a turnover on downs, but there's a lot of positivity to build up off that drive. Very good running drive, but again, got to get that passing game rolling to help mitigate the damage there. There's a good look at Hopkins on your screen. Again, very strong asset to this Minnesota Minx squad. So we'll see the Mountain Lions for the first time in the second half. A good long sustained drive from Minnesota, but gonna need a turnover here to hang tough. So out of the gun, 3 receivers near side, 1 to the top of the screen, 1 back in the backfield. Look at the pass. Matz has all day. Is going to roll out and probably take it herself. And she takes it to the sideline and gets a pretty good gain on the quarterback keeper. Kind of about 2, but for how much time she had to kill and buy. Another good shot of Coach Rylander on the sideline. Again, a lot of success so far defensively. A few turnovers, but... And good job there forcing Mats out of bounds as they break the huddle and return to the line of scrimmage. Approaching 7 minutes to go, back out of the gun. Same formation, 3 receivers near side, 1 top of the screen, and 1 back in the backfield. Benjamin in motion, looking to pass. Looking to get it to Benjamin. Now going deep. And a lot of contact. And trying to hit that little wheel route, running in motion to gain speed, and then taking it straight out into enemy waters. But good coverage by Minnesota. A little bit of contact there, but again, we'll set up a 3rd down scenario. July 23 looking to get the crowd hype here as we're back to action. 3rd down. Spreading it out are the Mountain Lions. Looking to pass. Pressure. Conyers is in their interface, gets the throw away. That could be argued for grounding. Not sure if there was an intended target. But Conyers there, and they are going to get her for grounding. Intentional grounding. So we're going to take a look back on replay just to confirm. There is, as you can see, there's no receiver. You could make an argument for number 13, Scariot. But I think she was more acting as a blocker over a receiver at that point in time. So I think it's a proper call. But gonna need a good punt here. So we have, I believe that's, Mats will also doubles as the punter. Bad snap, can she get it away? And she does. Anthena Hurd is just gonna let that bounce. Hopefully that doesn't go off of Minx as that rolls all the way down. And Minx will cover. That's Hopkins. Again, another scenario you got to be a little careful if you're Minnesota. With that, but with how that bounce occurred, it's better to let that one roll a few yards. It didn't touch a Minx that I saw. Maybe Mel Hopkins saw something I didn't, but just got to be wary of touching the football there, as it would be a turnover if fielded by the Mountain Lions. As I believe we have another injury down on the field. Another Mountain Lion down. That's number 63, AJ Jungbluth. She's getting checked out by both trainers of both teams. Glad to see that too. Obviously you want the Mountain Lions trainer in charge, but the fact you have a couple of trainers there just to check in and make sure everyone's okay helps speed up the process and shows the sportsmanship of this league and of both of these two teams. Again, continuing to talk, not sure what happened on the return. Continue to get work done on her. Minnesota Vixen are down in California taking on the Cali War. Here's a good look at the Midwest Mountain Lion fans who made the trek from Wisconsin on their way all the way over here to Spring Lake Park, Minnesota. Good to see the away bleachers section getting some love as our injured player is now up. Jungbluth is making her way off the field under her own power with a couple of staff members alongside. So Minnesota's looking to get their second drive off to another hot start, hopefully capitalize with another end zone trip. So little pause in the action here. Again, thanks for joining us if you're watching on YouTube. Thanks for all the comments. Shelly Simon, Hannah Lindmeyer, Tiffany Marie, Shannon Russell, Nina Flecht, Stephen Day Sullivan, Blank Dupree. I got you, Dupree, on the curly comment. As handoff once again cut inside. That is Jalen Rashaw. Good defense by the Mountain Lions. A couple comments I didn't get to, but appreciate all of you tuning in as cut inside. Nice job at least getting it back to the line of scrimmage, but even better defense from the Mountain Lions. So another handoff for Shaw looking to cut inside, but wrapped up from behind once again. That is Scariot in on the tackle. So set up a 3rd and long, so we'll have to see what the Minx decide to do here. Set up a 3rd and 10. Hopkins checks in for Minnesota. 5:38. Good look at the head coach for the Mountain Lions, Hardy. Gotta say, I've been talking uniforms, but he's got a pretty clean outfit. I'm loving the white and the bucket hat. He's got some style there on the sideline as we got a 3rd and 10. Out of the gun, Hahn looking to throw a screenplay to her receiver, still on her feet and keeps going. What a play call. That was number 36, Strunk. So we'll take a look back on the replay. You'll see on the wide shot here, well-designed screenplay. Quickly got it out. Good chunk play in. Gets it pretty close to the sticks. And will be officially a Minnesota Minx first down, as they're looking to get the crowd hype, and I believe we're getting another timeout for Minnesota, as finally getting some offense going here. Loving the screenplays. And again, even getting your passing game rolling, it doesn't have to be anything deep. These deke and dunk short plays, these screens, can still give that defense something to think about. But again, that play right there was just a great design. Good look at the Mountain Lions on your screen. Coach Hardy making sure his team can, in the right headspace, right play call. As you see the Minnesota Minx huddle back out onto the field. Both teams ready for action here. So out of the eye again, one receiver near side. Gonna go back to the play. July 23 with the carry. She's gonna bulldoze through people. That's what she does. As they give it to the big tight end on the carry. Again, just finds a hole and carries a plethora of defenders, and that will be a good way to get some chunk yardage. As it'll be 2nd down and about 2. Good chunk play as you get a good look at 23 on your screen. With that Guardian cap, handoff back to 23. This time, a little bit better job on the defensive side. Might have gained a yard. And just so there's no confusion for this game, July 23 is number 13, so if I'm saying 23, I'm not talking about the number, I'm talking about the player. I should have clarified first half, but it can be a little confusing. Kind of like Mary Ellen 6 for the Mountain Lions, except she actually has the number 6, so that's a little bit easier. I mean, 23 is half there. She's got the 13. She's got a 3 in there somewhere. So back under center. Looking to pass. Going for 23. Bobbled in. Picked off. Benjamin. Will with the interception. Taking it upfield and pushed out of bounds. And that is what you call a dagger to the heart. of the Minnesota Minx as Benjamin, again, probably my MVP of the game this afternoon. Let's take a look back on it. See what happens. Again, great play call. Love the play call. Just got tipped up, went off the hands of 23 and straight into the hands of Benjamin. But again, that was a relatively well-placed ball. Just a lot of coverage in the way and a lot of traffic to get through. And unfortunately, 23 could not get her hands on it. And another turnover on downs for Minnesota. But again, their offense is showing signs of life. It's just you gotta not shoot yourself in the foot. And we'll see what the Mountain Lions can do here. Minnesota defense again holding strong. 3 receivers near side. Kind of that pistol set. Little late handoff to Benjamin as she'll get tackled by Otterson. That could have been bad on both sides of the football. But good job by Otterson to hold on. Here's a look at it. Again, you'll see the fumble by Benjamin. Well, it was kind of an awkward pitch, more or less. I put that more on Matt's now that I look at it. And good job by Otterson for limiting the yards to gain to about 2.5. As the huddle breaks. Spreading it out back again. That same pistol look. And we're going to get another timeout from the Midwest Mountain Lions. So with that, let's take another quick break. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You're watching Minnesota Minx Mountain Lion football here on HCTV Sports.
Who are we? We are artists. We are entertainers. We are storytellers. We are teachers. We keep you informed. We follow the action. Who are we? We are Hastings Community TV.
Back into Spring Lake Park High School. As a little short play to Scariot for a very short gain. Good tackle by the Minnesota Minx defensive line. And that will set up another 3rd and 5. Spreading it back out, changing it up from that pistol look. One back in the backfield, couple receivers each side of your screen. Minx got to keep an eye on Benjamin. She's been the popular target. And quarterback draw and stuffed out by the Minnesota Minx. Matt's on the quarterback draw once again, but a plethora of Minx there, including Olaf Iridattir. Apologize if I butchered that. Gain of 1 officially on the carry again. They really are liking these quarterback draws, trying to sneak through traffic, but wrapped up immediately. So we'll see. I imagine they will be punting here. Quarterback Eva Matz, the quarterback punting hybrid, but one benefit to having your punter be your quarterback is you could sell a fake here. We've seen Minnesota do it once. Thought they might have jumped a little early, but no call. Kick gets away. Minx better not touch it. And it bounces straight into the lap of Chloe McLean. That made me a little bit nervous for Minnesota with how that ball bounced. So we'll now have the opportunity to see the Minnesota Minx offense for the 4th time in the second half. 30 6.5 seconds on the clock. Got a couple of plays left. Maybe one, depending if they run it. So far with that, the last couple of drives there, running game has looked really solid. So back under the eye, one receiver near side, 23, bottom of your screen. Give it to Rashad, getting outside, beats Alan Fox, and another carry by Jalen Rashad. She takes a hard hit out of bounds. Again, that's why we also see these players wearing these Guardian caps, just a little extra safety. She's pushed out of bounds for the first down. Again, great vision, and that's the other part of the Pride jerseys I just noticed on the replay. They have the Pride collars, which is an incredibly unique feature to the uniforms with 19.8 seconds. I believe we have another injury down on the field. And it can't see the number with our current angle. Might be a cramp. How they're holding the leg. I think it's a mountain lion as Mary Ellen Fox. Or 6. Why did I say Fox? Excuse me. That's one of the Hastings-isms for those not from Minnesota. One of the longtime nurse in the Hastings Public Schools. So I kind of got that backwards there as Mary Ellen 6 looks to help her teammate up, and that is, I believe that's number 20, Jennifer Potker, as she's able to walk off gingerly under her own power. Again, injuries starting to slowly rack up here. Again, crowds have been pretty good here from Spring Lake Park as we have a young fan playing in the stands, so even the younger fans getting out here supporting Minx football as we return back to the field of play. 19.8 seconds to go here. We'll see if they decide to run one more play. Taking their time getting off the field. You can kind of see at the top right side of your screen. And thanks for joining us, everybody. Hunter Pinky alongside Ian Andersack, Ben Brannon. Doing all the duties, switching, replay, graphics, all that. So thanks for joining us. Back under center is Madison Hahn. Looking to hand off to Rashawn. Hole opened, but not for very long as that was blown up by number 71, Antoinette Harris. Take one more look at it, and we'll see if they let the clock continue to roll out. But again, nice play by Antoinette as you see her walking off the field. Actually, Minnesota is going to call a timeout as well. So we will get one more play. Interesting decision to burn timeouts this early. I guess this is kind of a must-succeed drive for Minnesota. Other aspect, too, I didn't think about is how long we have the field available. I could be coming into a play of just in case the game gets called a little early. Good shot of both teams on your screen. Again, while we have a pause in the action, let's take a look at the Minnesota schedule one more time. Upcoming schedule, they have one more game on the regular season. They'll travel to the Cedar Raptors down in Iowa, and then that will round out the season. And then for the Midwest Mountain Lions, as you can see, there's their schedule to this point. And then they will have a home date with the Sioux Falls Snow Leopards. Again, very tough team, one of the top Division III football squads. So here we go. Second down. Looking to pass. Has a receiver out in the flat, and that throw just got away from Madison Hahn. Intended target was Strunk. That one might have just slipped out of the hands of Madison Hahn a little bit, as, again, we'll have another play here with 2.6 seconds left to go in the third quarter. Both teams already down to one timeout. And we'll see what Minnesota can do. They need a big chunk play. Look out for July 23. And this time they're going to work back out of the gun. Couple of receivers near side, one back in the backfield. Watch 23 at the top of your screen. Has time. Looking for 23, and that one was just a little bit high of her intended target. And again, that's right where they went, was July 23, as you can see on your screen. And that is what will take us to the end of the third quarter. So the score hasn't changed since halftime. The Midwest Mountain Lions hold a 21-6 lead over the hometown Minnesota Minx. Thanks for joining us, everybody. You're watching Minnesota Minx Mountain Lion football here on HCTV Sports. We will be right back.
What a move, what a goal! Oh, what a shot, scores! The Raiders, can they get the lift? Yes, they do.
Just snipes one.
Oh my God! And reaching up and making the play. It's moving. It's over.
Looking to throw, and she's going to get the first down.
Gone! Touchdown, Raiders!
Back into Spring Lake Park High School, Minnesota Minx trying to get back into this game, down 2 scores. But so far, having troubles on offense once again. That's been kind of the tale of the season. But can they change their fortunes right now? Well, no, they won't, because they are going to punt. A little confusion on special teams. They need one more player out there as Otterson checking into the game. A little confusion on the formation. Fake to 23 again, and that goes nowhere. And again, that just gives the Midwest Mountain Lions good field position, and we will see what they can do once again. And 23 is down on the field. And that is one of the worst players to have go down for the Minnesota Minx. Obviously, you don't want anyone to go down, but she's been one of the biggest weapons on the offensive side of the ball. I'll see if I can pull it up and see what happened. So let's take a look back on replay. See if we can see. Pass out in the flat. Ooh, she just gets kind of... she got kind of twisted up in the scrum. Those lower body injuries are one not to mess with. As while she continues to get worked on, just going to take a quick pause. Make a quick correction. So 23 on her feet, but needing some assistance, and that looks definitely like a lower leg injury. Not good. We hope she is okay. and walking pretty gingerly with a couple help from a couple staffers.
Good job, 13.
Getting a great ovation from the crowd, though, and that's what you love to see, supporting their players. And as we will get ready for action once again. 14:51 on the clock. If you're just joining us, the Minnesota Minx failed a fake punt for the second time this evening. And the Midwest Mountain Lions back on offense. So back out of the gun, one receiver top of the screen, three to the bottom, one back in the backfield. Matt's at QB. Looking to run, handoff to Scariot, and we'll go for a loss of 1. If that maybe got to the line of scrimmage, but a good stand once again by this Minnesota Minx defense. And again, pieces are coming together here. It's defense holding strong, but we'll have to see what they can do here. And both teams are actually down to 1 timeout apiece. They are having issues with the in-house scoreboard. There's some issue with the connection between the board and the controller, so they had to reset it. So we're actually at 1 timeout apiece. As pitch to Benjamin as she's tackled by the Minx once again. So I'll try to keep you honest about the timeouts the rest of the way, but both teams at 1 apiece. Again, that's the one problem you get with pulling scoreboard data. When they have troubles, you have troubles. Let's get a good look at the Mountain Lion huddle. Would think the Mountain Lions are sponsored by Monster Energy with their current uniforms, and I mean that in the most positive way possible. I think they're extremely sharp. Back out of the pistol, receiver in motion, quarterback keeper has the option to pitch behind her, but nice tackle by Otterson. She's the thunder before the lightning. She's a look back on that again. Tried to get some motion going, but again, you'll see Otterson just come crashing in and sending up another 4th down. Again, she's been all over the field along with Conyers. Again, 2. So we'll see another punt here, barring another fake, but with it being about 4th and 9 and a 2-score lead, I see no incentive as bad snap and a bullet. As she's going to let that one roll, and that'll trickle all the way down. That's still rolling. Someone might want to touch it as that one goes all the way down to the 6-yard line. And you know what? I think, Pat McAfee says it best, but punters need some love too. So let's take a look back at that line drive of a punt. And again, you'll see her kind of wanted to make sure she didn't touch it and force the turnover, but then it just kept trickling all the way down to the Minnesota 6-yard line. So now we'll have to take a look at the Minnesota Minx offense for the first time without July 23 on the field. She's been a huge spark for that offense, so they might lean a little bit more to that running game with Diamonds Miller and Jalen Rashaw. .12:09 to go. 1 timeout for each team. Just for clarification, looking to pass, looking to throw a screen out in the flat end. Rashad did not get turned around. Some communication on the route.
The pass from number 9, Madison Hahn, incomplete. The intended receiver, number 26.
Incomplete pass.
It will be second down and 10 at the 6-yard line.
Coach Rylander. And, well, there's a good shot of the offensive coordinator on the left-hand side of your screen. That's Kenzie Riley, quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator as we go back to the field. Handoff, and immediately stuffed by the Mountain Lion defense. Good play all around. Get a quick look on that replay again. Just quickly covered by the Midwest squad out of the Milwaukee area of Wisconsin. And since it is a Minnesota broadcast and it is Minnesota home broadcast, I know there's been some beef as that's handed off to Rashad, nowhere to go as stuffed, and they're gonna blow the play dead. As forward progress was stopped, but I know there's been a lot of debate, some Twitter beef a while ago. Wisconsin trying to claim they have more lakes than Minnesota. That's kind of bold claim. So it's the one way we'll always have Wisconsin beat. And you know, I like Wisconsin. I'm actually a Packer fan. So I do enjoy Wisconsin, but trying to outdo Minnesota in some aspects a little hard. I got no beef against the Brewers. Rivalry's fun between Twins and Brewers. No beef there. But it's not since they're not in the same conference. Not a huge rivalry, but fun. As we're back in punt formation, Hopkins back to kick, and that one goes sky high, fielded by Benjamin. She might take this one to the house. She has open space, and she's gone. As again, she is the MVP of this football game. Benjamin has been everywhere all at once. As we'll take a look back on the replay here, as you can see them getting in punt formation. Again, just a short punt from short field position, and again, just kind of caught the defense in an awkward position, and Benjamin took that one to the crib. So we'll see what the Mountain Lions decide to do here, if they'll kick or go for it. Actually, no, they're going to be short. She was actually short by a yard. I thought she got in. So we will have to do it again. We might see a tush push or an inside handoff. And it is going to be a little bit of a tush push. But that Minnesota defensive line held strong.
Number 17, that's the ball carrier, tackled by a host of Minnesota players, including number 30.
It's hard to see on this angle, but again, we'll kind of see good angles trying to get that push. I definitely don't think the ball crossed. Hard to tell on this angle, and our tight camera's not right on that line. So hard to tell exactly if that crossed the plane. See if they can do it again. Back in that bunch formation, I wouldn't be surprised if they try it one more time. 2nd and inches, inside handoff, and that was blown up. They tried to go on the inside handoff, but Minnesota right there, as this sets up a 3rd and 2, so it's about the length of a 2-point conversion.
Stopped at the 3-yard line, a 2-yard loss. It is 3rd and goal at the 3.
8:45 to go in the 3rd quarter. Now changing things up, still under center, 2 backs in the backfield, out of the eye. We'll see what Matz decides to do. Minnesota Minx defense, can they hold? Looking to pitch Benjamin, and she's gonna walk this in for a touchdown. And she does. Just when you thought you were safe, they busted outside, and who else but Benjamin, who I thought had the touchdown on that kick return before, tackled a yard short as she kind of eats it on the celly. Let's take a look back on the replay here. Again, Minnesota did a nice job defensively in that third quarter, but again, special teams problems led to this score. As we'll get set for the extra point, they'll come back out to kick. They are perfect, and that is not the proper score. So as we're set for the PAT. That's the hold. Ellen 6, out to kick. Snap is down and nearly blocked. That one is through the uprights, but that one was close. Again, Ellen 6. Lights out on the PAT. Let's take one more look at the touchdown run, or pitch. Yeah, nice play design. All expecting inside. They cut it outside, top of the screen, and Benjamin takes it to the house, extending the lead to what should be 28-6 as our scoreboard finally gets updated. Again, kind of pulling that data from the malfunctioning scoreboard here. Again, still a great facility here at Spring Lake Park High School. The lights are finally on. Here's a good look at Benjamin and Coach Hardy. I'm not sure if the Midwest Mountain Lions do any team awards or anything, but she's for sure my MVP of the broadcast and of the game. As we're back towards the field. So we're set for kickoff once again. Welcome in Tina, rooting on her Mountain Lions. Again, Minnesota, I say it a lot on my other football broadcasts, but bend but don't break defenses are my favorite type of defenses, but when you lack the support from the other two phases, it's going to get you in the end as Tina Hurd fields it with space, cuts inside, now back out towards the numbers, fields it across the 40, and a great return by Hurd. That's exactly what they needed to get started. They'll take a look back on it on replay one more time. Get a good look at the kick. Pretty strong kick. Nice catch by Hurd, the captain, cutting inside the numbers and getting across the 40-yard line. So good field position for Minnesota. But again, we'll see what the offense can do, as still no July 23. As she is still on the trainer's table. It's first down. Run up the middle. With number, I believe that's number 96 on the carry. That's Alexis Neff. Or no, it was Rashaw, excuse me. It was either Rashaw or Neff on the carry. That is Neff on the carry, trying to use the big power back, trying to, oh, the ball might have came out. Ball might have come out. And it did. Again, the offense shooting themselves in the foot. Take a look if we can find it here on the replay. Here it is. See, it's hard to see how. on this angle, I think you can kind of see it through the bottom of her leg. Tough angle on that camera shot, unfortunately. 2 cameras today, so don't have the benefit of the end zone cam. So Midwest back on it, and again, that is absolutely the dagger in this game, barring a pick 6 or a turnover. Matt's looking to pitch it to Benjamin, just trying to run some clock down. She'll try to get it back to the original line of scrimmage, and she might have it or be a yard pass. Tiana Benjamin again, such a great gadget player. Player you can put anywhere and trust her to make a good play. Back out there. Again, I imagine just running the clock down. Minnesota, once again, will be looking at being held scoreless for another game. Last week, they did get 1 offensive touchdown and a pick 6 as the run goes nowhere. Another nice stop by this Minx defensive line. A couple of players in there for the Minx. Yeah. Again, a couple of players there in on the tackle. Number 44 in there on the tackle. So that'll set up a 3rd down. Yeah, Minnesota in danger of being held scoreless on offense for another week. They were held scoreless against Oklahoma back in May. So hoping to at least change that fortune before the end of the night. Looking to pass Matz. Looking for Benjamin, and catch in space, but great coverage by the Minnesota Minx for a quick stoppage, and that is not good. Benjamin was grabbing her knee at the tail end of that play. Seems to be okay, but she kind of grabbed for that knee. Let's take a look back on the replay here. See if we can see if anything happened. Again, contested catch in traffic. It looked like she grabbed that ankle or knee, but regardless, back to punt formation for the Mountain Lions. Looking to kick it away. Hurd back to receive it. Is she going to pick it up? And she does. Flag on the field. Another flag on the field, so we'll have to see what these calls are. Probably some illegal blocks is my guess. So we'll see what the call is here from our white hat out on the field as they confer to discuss the call. So, official is hatless because he already threw his flag once and saw another flag, so that second flag is indicated by a thrown hat on the field. There's a long discussion about the play here. Again, playing by college rules. Long discussion here. So face mask on Mountain Lions, and then a legal block in the back, so all that's going to be an offset. So Minnesota just got a sideline warning. I'm waiting to see if they're going to re-kick, and they will re-kick it because of the offsetting penalty, so they'll have to go all the way back to the 47-yard line and re-punt. Long discussion over the play, but I think it was mainly to assess that sideline warning to the Minx. Under 5 minutes to play in the game. Punt formation. That one, Screamer once again has to field it on a hop, has some blockers, looking to kick it outside. Otterson looking to get another block, trying to get it to the 30. She does, and will be tackled right at the 35-yard line. Another nice return for Hurd, who's looked really good back there these last couple of outings. So let's take a look back on it in the replay. Again, kind of a shotgun blast of a return. Took that straight to the chest, but finds space, gets it outside. As another big return, as you can see, a sideline companion looking to help rally the Minnesota Minx. See Everett Flynn on the sideline and a couple other players as we are back to the field for another Minnesota Minx drive. And again, at this point, it's going to be a little tough coming back in this one, but I think you have to score here. That's going to be a big momentum builder. As the handoff is to Strunk, and gain of, well, maybe back to the line of scrimmage, so minimal gain. Set up a 2nd and 10.
Players, including number 21, Michaela DeLuca. Gain of 1 on the play. It will be 2nd and 9 at the 36-yard line.
So 4:15 to go in the game. Again, another outstanding showing. The 28 points is a little misleading, but a couple of those points coming off short field position. Minnesota Minx defense looking electric again as handoff to Rashaw and busted up by Benjamin. And again, there she is on defense, the absolute MVP of this ball game, as she busts up another play that they try to get to the outside. And there she is, gets off Strunk, the blocker, and just takes her down and sets another 3rd down and long. So 3rd down and long. Back out of that bunch formation. Hahn under center. Play action, got a nice block, has a receiver, and just Hopkins couldn't turn around and make the catch. 14 in coverage for the Mountain Lions. That is Danielle Tilseth. Again, she didn't miss by much. Again, she's really good in rolling out and buying some time, and just overthrew her a little bit. Again, in the right spot, though. She put it in a place where the defender was not going to get it. So 2:55 to go, and it will be another Minx punt, and both teams, again, down to 1 timeout. The 3 timeouts are scoreboard error due to the in-house and venue controller. So Hopkins back to punt once again, and got a couple of returners back there now, looking to pull a St. Louis Rams when they pulled the fake with Tavon Austin. As that one's kicked away, fielded by Benjamin, and tackled immediately in a nice special teams play. That was number 65 in on the tackle, Breakmeyer. And again, now we get to show a little Minx special teams action here. Good punt. Pretty decent punt, and then just right there, boom, laid down the hit stick and wrapped out Benjamin. And that's no easy feat. Again, we've seen how Benjamin's been playing all night today. And that's a huge play, but at this point it's going to be run down the clock time for the Mountain Lions. And we will roll out our broadcast with all the scores, so do a brief post-game recap, and then when we say our goodbyes, we'll roll out with all the scores, so stay tuned for that. Back out of the pistol. Now sending her out to the wing, we'll hand off up the middle. Scariot with a Gain of 3 or 4 on the carry. Another Minx player a little slow to get up, but no stoppage of play. Clock continuing to trickle away. And it looks like they're pretty content to let this one go all the way down to the 2-minute warning. Obviously, 2-minute warning. One of the newer additional rules to college football. A good look at the Midwest Mountain Lions team.
We have reached the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter.
Now back to the field. Let's see if we have any Minnesota Vixen scores. I believe they just kicked off about an hour ago.
Proudly supports football in Minnesota. The Minnesota Elite Team Apparel is a blue sponsor of the Minx, supporting number 56, Crystal Conyers. Also, LeBron's TV supports underrepresented communities and has promoted them.
And score update at the end of, nearing the end of the second half. The Cali War are leading the Minnesota Vixen 14-28. So that's a little bit of an upset as well. Minnesota, the Vixen having their struggles as of late as well. And Minnesota Vixen powerhouse in the pro division for a long time. As now they're sending Benjamin back out in the flat, handoff up the middle. Scary yet again, nice carry for a few, and clock will continue to run. Minnesota not going to burn any timeouts. Again, once again, as this is our third and final regular season home game for the year. Thanks for joining us for the Minnesota Minx season. Obviously, we don't know playoffs, but most likely if Minnesota makes a home or makes the playoffs, won't be a home game. So again, thanks for joining us this year. Once again, it was another fun season here on HCTV Sports. We're proud to be a supporter of the Women's Football Alliance, Women's Professional Football, the Minnesota Minx, Minnesota Vixen. We're just extremely happy to support women's football however we can. And we appreciate every single one of you tuning in, whether you're from the Milwaukee area, Oklahoma, or, oh, that's a pick. Now talk about a defensive highlight, as Minnesota not dying, as the Midwest Mountain Lions choosing to questionably pass instead of run out the clock, but we'll take it. Again, another defensive highlight for this fantastic Minnesota defense. I don't have higher praise, as that was Emmanuel on the pick, for a defense. I think, again, this team is really coming together. Their defense is there. It's just we got to get this offense going. But, again, it's been another fantastic season here of women's professional football on HCTV Sports. Happy to be back. As you get a look at the pick one more time. And this is our final game of the year. We want to thank you for joining us home or away. And as the handoff is stuffed to Rashaw by the Midwest Mountain Lions as the clock continues to tick under 45 seconds. Handoff once again to Rashawn. Again, if you want to consider help supporting HCTV, PEG funding is declining all around the state. If anyone of you wants to help support women's professional football broadcasting and community TV as a nonprofit, consider leaving a donation at hastingstv.org/donate. Funding is declining because people are cutting cable, so please consider a donation or go to savecommunitytv.com. As the final seconds will trickle away in this contest. And the Midwest Mountain Lions will get their, actually the clock is stopped with 5 seconds. And the clock did trickle down. The Midwest Mountain Lions will get their revenge. There was a last second penalty. There was a last second penalty, but no call. As again, final score on your screen. The Minnesota Minx fall 28-6 in the home season finale. Again, another stout performance by this Minx defense. Multiple turnovers, great run defense. Just unfortunately, special teams and the offense still got some things to work out on the back end. Again, let's take a look before we say our goodbyes. We'll take a look at both teams' schedules one more time. Minnesota Minx, as you can see, they'll travel to the Cedar Raptors, moving to 1-4 on the season. There's the season recap, and taking a look at the Midwest Mountain Lions schedule. They will have a home date with the Sioux Falls Snow Leopards, one of the best teams in all of Division III football, next week on the 14th. So with that being said, thanks for joining us, everybody. Once again, it's been an honor to be the broadcast partners of the Minnesota Minx football team. Let's give a shout out to our production crew one more time. I'm Hunter Pinky, doing the producing, directing, announcing, graphics, replay, everything. Just how it goes sometimes. And then our camera operators, Ben Brandon, Ian Andersack. And want to thank Tori Sellner and Max Slocum, as well as they were camera operators as well throughout the Minnesota Minx season. So again, thanks for joining us, everybody. We will send it to our highlight recap as we say our goodbyes here from Spring Lake Park High School. Once again, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time. See you, bye.